we've been drinking beer, and we'll be drinking when you get here. Thinking, will I ever be sober? Hoping this will never be over. And I'm drinking beer, and I'll be drinking when you get here. We started drinking liquor so we could get drunk.
Hello, everybody, for another episode of Beer and Bullshit. I have no idea what volume we're at right now, so I'm just going to throw shit out there. We must be like, what, 57, 9?
Is that a lot?
I don't know.
Like,
must be a lot.
57 on a scale of 200 is not really much.
Sure, that's a lot. Well, anyways, today, special episode for our third episode back, and we won't speak about the last one. That went completely fucking sideways. Nope. But this one here, we're out at Compass Brewing here in Timmins. Just exploring the local brewing scene, right? And we're lucky enough to be joined by owner-operator Kevin Patriquin and by full-time brewer Mael Girard.
Hi.
How you guys doing today?
Awesome, you?
Yeah,
you guys?
Pretty good.
Yeah, I'm doing good too, thanks.
Yeah, good. Glad to be here. And we get to explore the... Are we going to be hearing this the whole time?
No, it just kicked out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're good. Mind control.
That's all right. Breweries can be pretty loud places, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Lots of refrigeration going on here. So.
We had to shut a few things off, but yeah, it's
apparently we forgot
temporary.
That's all right. So we can anticipate to be hearing these brewery noises throughout this process, right?
Yeah.
A little bit.
That's probably not the only one. So.
Let's get over it. We'll be fine.
Yeah. We'll be fine. We'll move along.
A couple glasses breaking on the floor, the normal stuff.
The normal stuff to hear around here. Does it get pretty rowdy around here sometimes?
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah,
especially after some of the mines, some of the crews come here after work and it's their Friday.
I would blame his crew for being the loudest.
Yeah,
your crew.
Yeah.
So you're a miner.
Yeah,
okay.
He worked at the same mine as I did at Kid Creek. Joel still works there as well, but he's on the opposite rotation. So yeah, and
Corey also works at Kid. I'm the only one who's quit so far to
do this full time. To do it full time.
Full time, yeah.
Oh man,
you're the one that's willing to go all in.
I went all in, man.
That's passion, right?
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about the story of Compass and how you guys kind of came to be, where the idea to start Compass Brewing came from, and that whole process.
Well, back in 2015, we're sitting together at work, I believe, and a couple of weeks before that, I started a Facebook group page. It was just called Timmins Brewery at the time. So basically, it was just to get feedback from the community. There's a few things going on with the Dorn's Brewing posts they put on Timmins Times, and it'd be cool to have the brewery back in Timmins, and obviously, Mael's been home brewing since 2011, like myself, 2012, Corey as well. So we kind of all got together at the end and put things together, and eventually here we are today.
So it just kind of happened that organically, right?
We were all just pretty passionate about beer. All kind of started doing it at home because we couldn't really buy the stuff we wanted to drink here, and then we got pretty good at it, and then we're like, hey, let's just make a brewery. We could do it at home, we could do it here too, right?
Yeah, Corey had his recipes, I had mine, and Mael had way more than both of us put together.
Yeah, I probably brewed 500 different recipes before we started this place.
Oh, really?
Pretty sure. Yeah, really? I don't think I brewed the same recipe twice the same at home because I was just experimenting as much as I can there.
So were you guys friends?
Yeah.
Beforehand?
Yeah. Workers, friends.
Yeah. We're on the same crew.
Joel's my cousin, so
and Corey's my brother-in-law, so Corey's on surface rotation, so he's more Monday to Friday, and us, we're on the 5-5-4 rotation, so we get a lot of free time at home brewing up and doing different recipes while on our time off. So
yeah, we build this whole place on our time off, basically.
Pretty much.
Shit. Yeah. See, Jay, I find this so interesting that people, this is what people have decided to coalesce around in Timmins, is this creative idea of just developing stuff to get you shit-faced. We had a real passion for this this stuff that just gets you real off your rocker.
There's a few beers that I made that were just off the charts, and it was no, but I got you some drunk.
That's the thing. If you screw it up, well, you can still get it down and get drunk, I guess.
Yeah. You gotta
Or distill it. I don't know. I've never done that, but I feel like you should do that.
There's a part of me that's thinking this is not the best advertising for this place if you're going to, some of our beers.
Yeah, we
might get you really
failed terribly
drunk.
a bunch of times. But you know what? It's by failing that you realize what you can't do.
That's a very good point. Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
So you guys got us started. You decided let's do this ourselves. What was some of the biggest issues you found were to get this going? Like, what were the roadblocks that you found?
The biggest roadblock was actually the building. There was nothing anywhere remotely feasible to go into other than spending hundreds of thousands of dollars retrofitting that building. Lots of buildings had basements, and it wasn't structurally sound. It was in the wrong zone. You can build so much feet from school, house, property, church, things like that. So it was
There's rules about that. You can't be so close to a church or something.
yeah,
Houses,
cool.
there's lots of they call it D6 guidelines. Okay. So it pretty much puts you where you can and can't be in Timmins. So part of that, we're kind of close to the adjacent properties where we are now, so we still had to do a D6 environmental study.
Yeah, we had to change the zoning as well, and
we didn't have to change the zoning.
Is
But
it like potential spills or shit like that?
no, it's just exhaust and noise emitted from the building.
yeah, because people associate breweries with like a smell, especially like giant breweries that go through crazy amounts of malt. There's a smell that comes from fermentation and stuff.
Smells amazing in here, so I don't know what neighborhood.
I like the smell personally. I don't find it bad, but some people have in the past, and I guess that's why there's rules on like
where you be
distance
located
from houses and stuff.
Yeah.
But you see a lot of communities, and like the town just allows them to like make a brewery there because it makes sense and the people are happy about it. You know what I mean?
Like they make exceptions.
Exactly.
To the
A lot of
bylaws.
exceptions to the bylaws.
Like-
and that's almost what you need to be able to start a brewery because there's so many things that they could just be like, nope, you can't do it.
Yeah.
So eventually they just have to let the breweries open up. Man.
And that's interesting that you say that about location, right? Because I know when we spoke to John St. Pierre, and I don't know if it's blasphemous for us to even mention Full Beer Brewing.
No, we like those guys. We get along great. No
good.
problem at all. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll say that on the podcast, and then when we get off, it's going to be like, yeah, those fucking assholes. But
Hey, to be fair, I saw one of the guys here on Wednesday.
Oh, there you
yeah.
go. I know those
Yeah.
guys come
My
here. I go over there, buy some beer sometimes.
Yeah, I was talking to him on the weekend. He stopped in. He said, "Yeah, I tried your Johnny Jones. Really good."
There you go.
nice. Well, I'm glad to see that you guys are getting along.
No,
It's
yeah,
not,
you have to
too
because
cutthroat around here.
you have to work together. The biggest competition is Labatt.
Yeah,
You know, like,
the big three, right?
if you get people just not drinking American pale lagers all the time and just sharing the craft beer that's brewed in the town, like that's all. We could have 10 craft breweries in towns if nobody drank Coors Light. You know,
That's a good point.
Yeah, North Bay's got like 4 now.
I'm gonna go ahead and say good luck on that one.
yeah, me too.
Slowly converting people. That's all.
Yeah.
But he did mention when we spoke with him that location, like finding a suitable location and getting the proper zoning done for
Zoning done. Yeah, they had some of the same issues as us.
Yeah, exactly. And and that seemed to be a big problem. But I can't help but relate this to what we often talk about here on the podcast when it comes to politics is red tape involved and like did you guys feel like there was any, like if you were to take a step back and look at this from the community's perspective, right? Did you find that having those steps, those assessment steps there in place, that you could see where the benefit or the tangible benefit to the community would be there to have that oversight?
Like I could see if you're discharging or emitting a very toxic substance, I could see a lot of that being implemented, but there's a lot of things that they put in place we could have done without of. It was just overwhelming at times. It's like, how the hell are we going to get through this? Yeah. And we finally found this place. And just by default, it was an industrial building. It had the drainage, it had the hydro, the 3-phase, it had the ventilation. So it was a perfect spot. And we had no choice to grab it because there's nothing else in town other than spending almost $1 million to build your own building.
We're a little bit limited on our budget because it's all like
exactly.
what we saved up and a loan and
You say you're doing this on your time off, so
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
So this location was very good for us because it's a floor, no basement, a lot of ceiling height, and we just kind of worked from the ground up. But you should definitely have some steps to stop people from like, you know, opening up big industries right beside residential areas and like polluting the air and all that. But it's not really the small businesses usually that'll cause these issues. It's more like the big corporations that'll take advantage of like slack regulation and stuff like that. But I think there needs to be like a bit of a difference when you're looking at corporations going into your community versus like the small business people that like live here and have a commitment to the community, you know?
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
Is it simply a Timmins regulation thing, or is this an Ontario-wide thing? Because if you look at like, you know, you look at some of these places in Southern Ontario, like Flying Monkeys, it's downtown and a super old building, and it's operating.
So the regulations exist everywhere,
okay,
and they're pretty much all the same. The difference is the communities themselves that decide to just say, you know what, maybe that regulation isn't good right now. Let's let these people make good business in the town, and they just like look away from certain bylaws. A lot of communities that let breweries
give
open
you an
up.
exception.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
If you were to build a brewery in an unorganized township, you could do whatever you want. Like as
Build
long
in
as
your
you're
garage, I think,
compliant to MEOCC or Ministry of Environment climate change guidelines.
Yeah.
I think climate change is gone now. That's not a thing
it's
anymore.
not-
Sorry,
Yeah.
Ford government kiboshed that.
Climate change doesn't exist.
So anyway, whatever it's called now.
Chinese hoax.
So whatever it's called now, yeah, like you could build whatever you want according to, you know, your fire code, your electrical code. As long as you follow it in an unorganized township, you'd build a brewery. But
Within
some
city
cities
limits.
take it a little overboard. But to me, they should have had a booklet, something ready for different businesses that you walk. I want to build this. Oh, well, we have a startup pamphlet for you. Well, we had none of that, and we went in kind of going in blindly. And
you
we're
gotta
doing
learn
it.
when you're doing things
Oh,
for
by
the
the way,
first
you
time,
need
right?
that. By the way, you need that. You're in the middle of something. Oh, that has to be changed. No, you can't do that. So it's like when you put one step forward and you take three back, and it's like you're back to the same square one. That was going on for about a good year and a half.
See, that seems to be a common complaint amongst people who are setting up small businesses,
Yes.
right? Like, it seems like a lot of this regulation, like as you say, right, are supposed to be there for these large corporations.
Yeah, I think they have a
keep an eye
purpose.
on them,
Oh,
right?
yeah, exactly. For
But
sure.
but where they seem to be causing the most headaches and problems are for small business
Yes.
owners who are starting up their
Yeah,
operation.
and don't have the resources to like thread all these different limitations that stop you in your tracks because you're just like doing it on your time off. You're figuring out how it works. It's easy when you don't have a lot of money and a team to just like deal with everything, right?
I've always said this. It should always be, and like it's like this for laws for everything. People like, and a lot of like individuals who are working at the city or at any organization, they go by the letter of the law, and it should be the spirit of the law. So the spirit would be like, this was made up to
This
to
is the
protect,
purpose of
yeah,
this
purpose to
regulation.
protect
Yeah.
against large companies just putting up a huge factory next door. It wasn't for a small company. It's
Exactly.
like you have to be. I think like they have to look at it and say, okay, this is what the spirit of the law was. Let's go by the spirit. Let's not go by the letter of the law, because the letter of the law is restrictive and does slow down.
There's a purpose to the law.
Yeah.
But sometimes,
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, even a resource like what you're referring to, right? Having something that guides a small operation from its inception to operation, right?
You have like all your startup forms. Okay, well, come back for consultation. We'll give you the right information. Where are you going, first of all? So they could do a lot of research for you. It seems like you're doing it on your own, but later on they could uncover something wrong. Oh, it's not measured at the right spot here. You got to get an engineer to, an example, redo it. So you're spending, like, to avoid overspending on the small business owner's part, it may cost him a lot more money, and that project he might not fulfill.
And usually
So-
you have to already be renting the locations before you do these studies.
Oh,
So you rent the location, and now you're like, okay,
So-
let's do the study, and then you pay $30,000 for the study, and then you're like, yes or no. But if it's no, now you just wasted how much money, and you're stuck in a 5-year lease.
So how do you guys feel about like our new provincial government and what their kind of rhetoric has been about opening Ontario up for business, right? And making things easier.
Sure. I feel like you can't just say those words and have it mean something. Like they didn't even have a platform to say how they were going to save money when we elected them in. Like they didn't say anything tangible ever.
It seems to be the common critique.
Yeah, they rolled out like
Yeah,
a
to me,
bucket
like
beer.
you need to give me specific information before I could believe what you're telling me.
Yeah, you guys buying into this bucket beer thing too?
No, we just made Buccaneer, which is a Belgian wheat IPA. It was very
and
delicious.
It sold for
and, sold pretty good.
$3.30 a can, not $1.
Oh, not $1 a can.
Not at all.
Near $1,
because
but
it tastes very good. And there's a lot of ingredients in there.
Yeah, just don't say you're going to implement a program and not know where it's going to be cut from another spot. And everyone's like, oh, well, then later down the road, oh, by the way, that's canceled. This is canceled.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
unfortunate, but
So, and I mean, I guess that's what we've come to expect maybe from conservative governments, is just that the idea of opening for business is really just like
It's rhetoric. It's just
we're going to cut spending, right?
Yeah, and they'll cut taxes for corporations, and that's how they're like, oh, come in here, corporations. We're not going to charge you any taxes, but then they're going to employ a lot of people, and they're going to pay the taxes. But it's like, who should be paying the taxes?
they'll argue saying, like it's they're all about small business owners, small business people, but it never seems to really to translate to small business, because it's going to be based on income bracket. And unfortunately, the small business people and micro business and things, it should be micro business. So understand the level of revenue you need to be a small business is actually much higher than you think it is.
Well, to play devil's advocate, okay, because I'm not, and
Son of a bitch.
I'm the one who's going to play devil's advocate this time, and because we've talked about this on the podcast before, and it's probably directly related to you guys as small business owners, like things like the minimum wage, right? Because there has been a lot of feedback from small business owners saying like the hike to $15 an hour for minimum wage is just not, it's not absorbable.
I'd say
without raising prices.
I'd say to all those people, try to live off the wage of minimum wage today by yourself and see if you can succeed. Like it just doesn't, the math just does not work. If you're getting paid the minimum wage and you're trying to live by yourself.
No,
exactly. It doesn't work.
No, and you're definitely right. And I think one of the things that fails to be accounted for, because what people who are proponents of not raising the minimum wage would say is that you're not supposed to live off of a minimum wage. The idea is not
of course
to build from a minimum wage. It's supposed to be the first rung in the ladder.
100%.
However, they fail to acknowledge where the economy is shifting. Right,
Exactly.
the economy has shifted to creating a lot more minimum wage jobs, service industry
and
jobs.
if you operate a big company, the goal of the big company is to create as much profit with as little expenses as possible. So in their justification of making as much money as possible, they're like, well, we only have to pay them $11 an hour, not 15. Like if you're Walmart, you're not going to be like, oh, I care about my employees, so I'm going to pay them more so they can. No, they're going to pay everybody $11 an hour and just hire the people that are willing to make those wages. It's when like we pay our employee $15 an hour. And we're not going to bring it down, you know what I mean?
No.
For us, it doesn't make sense as a small business because we actually care about him. So we want him to live all right. We want him to have time off, because if he's not happy here, then he's not going to do a good job.
He's just going to take off.
But then again, that's like the difference between small businesses and big corporations. There just needs to be like a line where you don't.
Where you can't go below, right?
Well, it's like like what you're saying definitely applies to small businesses, but I don't think it applies to multinational corporations.
And
those are the ones that have employed the most people.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you on that one, and I think it's more about understanding the arguments on both sides of the issue,
absolutely.
Right? And because I like personally, I know I'm playing devil's advocate on this, but it's like my personal opinion about it is that if you can afford to pay somebody a quote unquote living wage, you should.
Yeah.
However, we know that especially like you talk about caring about your employees, right? Like a large multinational corporation, it's difficult to understand how they could even come to a point where they could care about their employees, because it's not like it's not within.
It's
the
not a
scope
family-run organization.
The boss doesn't know.
It's all numbers, and it's just like, our workforce costs us that much, and if we were to pay them, it's going to cost us this, and we're going to make that much money, and we're going to reinvest it and make more money. It's just they'll pay their people as least as they can. Not all of them, obviously. Like Costco, they make a point of paying their employees 20. Like corporations could do that too. Yeah. But if you're leaving it to the benevolence of the corporations, like most of them are just going to do the minimum wage thing, because why wouldn't they? Right?
Well, but we've argued before, minimum wage is not supposed to be the standard at which you pay people. It is the legally allowed amount you can pay somebody that you cannot, like, you won't get charged or sued if you pay them at least as much. Pay them less, you're going to see your ass in jail. or not in jail, in court.
Yeah.
But if you pay them, this much, you're okay. So that's not the standard of what you should be paying somebody. So the idea, though, is that amount has been co-opted by individuals or large companies say, well, we're paying them what were the legal minimum wages. That shouldn't be it. It should be. I think the business idea and the business concept should be revolved around a wage that is workable for each person.
So what would be your rebuttal to the point of somebody who says, okay, but Walmart, for example, right? They'll look at everything for the numbers to maintain whatever business model and acceptable profit margins they have, right? And then the government of Ontario says we're going to raise the minimum wage to $20 an hour. Right? Now suddenly Walmart says in order to maintain our business model and profit margins, this is how much we got to cut our workforce back by, and they basically just start running with less people. They lay a bunch of people off. Now you have a whole bunch of people that would have been employed at $14 an hour that are employed now at $0 an hour. But whoever's remaining is making $20 an hour. What's like I struggle with how that's a benefit.
Yeah, but right now, if you look at Walmart and if you go talk to the employees, they'll probably tell you that they're already running quite thin. Because corporations, they're not going to pay 10 people when they could pay 5 people to do it. And they're actively trying to cut jobs all the time just to save money. Corporations are usually already set up to work as leanly as they can, unless you're in China. Because I was there last summer, and they have like 20 people working in like an Adidas. It's crazy. With like 2 customers, man. Yeah. But they make like no money out there, so they just like hire everybody.
20 people working.
Oh yeah, no, you're in a shopping mall. There's like twice as many employees as there are customers in the whole mall, man. It's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
In China. Some part of me feels
You
like
work for Mao.
The thing is with these big box stores is they base their numbers and staffing from the previous year. So if you had a rainy day on July 1st and you have a sunny day on July 1st the following year, they're going to staff the store from last year. So you walk in, nice sunny day, you got projects to do, whatever, you got stuff to buy. There's like 3 people working. They staff on numbers, and it seems
it's all the calculations to try to make the most money as possible.
And they staff according, and us versus them, you're not a number for us. You're somebody, right?
If the minimum wage was $8 right now, and we tried to hike it up at 12, they would. Again, right now, still have the same rhetoric, but it's at 12 now, and we're trying to hike it to 15 or whatever, right? But they're still having the same rhetoric. It's more, in my mind, it's more of like a calculation on like how does most the people that live here not live in poverty conditions? Like that's what we have to look for.
And I think
everybody,
a lot of it comes down to the fact that we as consumers need to decide where we spend our
exactly.
Money, right? So like if you're like, let's say you've got money to spend on beer, and you want to go buy, and you decide to go to the beer store, right? And buy, what would you call it?
X.
Let's go buy some X. Yes.
Oh, there we go.
Export. and that's how you decide to spend your money. Well, to understand that what that money is going to perpetuate and support, right? Yeah. But if you spend your money here, you're spending money on local business owners who are going to likely reinvest much of that dollar into the community again.
Yep.
And,
for sure.
You're supporting people who
Vote for your dollar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I think like people who rail against the big box stores and have the problems that they do, but continue to shop there. And I mean, I'm not criticizing. I'm a person who struggles with that as well, because you're also a person who wants to make your dollar go as far as it can.
Exactly, right? Especially if you're making $12 an hour and you got to survive off that. Then what do you do? It's kind of a system recreates itself.
But Corey, you started this conversation saying, these large corporations have a profit margin that they set that they want to make every year. So the argument should not just be, well, this is their profit margin. They have to make it, so let them cut whoever they want. Well, why should a $3 billion profit margin be the standard? Can they not do the same with the $1.5 billion profit margin a year?
Oh, sure.
You can argue that maybe that affects, investing and portfolios and whatnot, because the more in, the better investors make. That could be the argument you can make. But if they paid more to their individuals, took less of a profit overall for a corporation, that money would still be put back into the system because all those individuals now have more money, more cash to spend, goes back into the system.
The investors of these corporations?
Or not even
Or
investors,
the shareholders, I guess?
Well,
or the people making money from the
people
profits?
making money from the profits would be the ones they make a little less because it's been brought down. So the investors and shareholders make a little less because shareholders, some of the shareholders are also investment funds. They're not just people, you know. Like,
For sure.
So like when you invest in RSP, you're inviting
A corporation could be a shareholder. When you think about it
I don't
that way.
disagree that that's the desired outcome.
Yeah,
That
but if more
that's
people have
what
money,
wants
the
to.
more money they spend. So if I make, if I was making $15 an hour, but now I make $25 an hour, guess what? Now I might go buy a Toyota, a little Corolla.
Or you might buy beer from
I'll
Compass
buy.
Brewing or Full Beer.
Yeah, exactly.
I
I go
might
buy
buy
more
more
beer.
beer.
No, okay, guys, we don't need to say the other guys.
No, I'm going to say Full Beer a bunch of times today. I like those guys. I'll plug them.
When I'm here, I hate them. The second I go back over there, I love those guys. but it's once there's more money, it gets out there, and then the wealth gets spread out, and then guess what? They're going to go back to that corporation that they're making more money from. Guess what? If I make $25 an hour now, I might buy more stuff from Walmart. I work there because guess what? I have more cash to spend. So they then do make more. So it does go back into the economy. So it is I would say arguably is the most capitalist idea you can actually go by.
No, that's a straight capitalist idea. For sure.
But guess what? For some reason, when you suggest that, you're a bloody socialist, democratic socialist, go back to Denmark. Like, I don't understand.
Jason's a goddamn communist.
But all I noticed is that there are 2 empty beers on this table. A third beer. There's one guy who was a huge puss.
I'll be back.
over here. I can only have one of
We
these
should probably go this
amazing beers.
like.
Yeah, we should try. We're gonna when Mael comes back, we will
We'll have to rate
get
a beer.
into like talking
about
this
a beer, a
because this is-
specific beer.
Yeah, because someone's nursing it.
Yeah,
I have to nurse this thing.
Well, yeah, he's lost a bunch of weight because he's running marathons now. Yeah, like a douchebag. Let's be honest.
One of those people.
Yeah, one of
Never
those
thought I'd be
people.
one of those people.
He
People
only
who
talks
wear
about
tight
now.
pants and run in the morning.
So when you get up in the morning, do you just go in like a legging type of like long john underneath shorts?
Lululemons.
Yeah, or are they underneath like a sweatpants as well?
No, just shorts.
Just shorts
Yeah.
with your
My
long johns
nicely
under,
shaped legs. You know what?
and just
funny.
regular running shoes. 'Cause a bunch
Yeah,
of
just
feet
regular
just
running
freeze
shoes.
the fuck off.
No, they don't freeze. But yeah,
I don't run. We don't run.
Oh no, I used to run.
He says pounded.
Yeah, no,
We don't run.
I used to, but
So did I.
this
It was high
place
school.
happened.
And then this place, yeah. And then I mean, like when you're drinking beer, clearly the first thing you're thinking of is like, well, I'm also gonna go for a run.
To the brewery.
No, my wife got mad at me because I was wearing just regular long johns under my shorts, like the like
Jesus
checkered
Christ.
ones there, like the stuff
Like
you wear,
the
you're supposed to
flannels?
wear under your pants. Yeah.
Oh,
And she's like, "What? Why are you wearing that? Like, you look like an idiot out there." I was like, "Well, whatever." So she bought me the like actual tight running ones.
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Well, I bought that stuff too. Never used them. It was sitting on my shelf.
they're still sitting on my elliptical.
Yeah, exactly.
It's turned into like a dry rack.
No, I call it.
Very
I call mine the coat and the towel hanger, the coat rack, clothes hanger.
Except many things.
I know
So
a
it's on its
guy
way?
that bought a treadmill from my dad and used it to put firewood into his basement. So he's chucking firewood onto the treadmill and it's launching it into the basement. So it's a good.
That's such a great way.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What do we got here?
Look at that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh no, that's his right there.
Yeah.
I gotta nurse mine.
Melissa, do-
What's this one here?
That's the hipster, the hibiscus ale.
so it's
I've
a
heard
beer.
good things about that one.
Yeah, it's a beer made with dried hibiscus flower and a bunch of it, and it's just a way
lot
to.
of it.
I just wanted to see what hibiscus tastes like, and tastes pretty good, I think.
And it tastes pretty good.
Yeah.
How is it, Jay? I gotta give this
take
guy
a little
my-
sip, or-
That's not. I'm drinking the what'd you call this? The shipwreck. The
shipwreck,
Yeah,
yeah.
it makes me feel shipwreck.
Train wreck.
No, it's actually it's
shipwreck.
solid beer. So it's a hibiscus.
Dried hibiscus flower.
Hibiscus flower.
Yeah.
So and what would be the style of beer itself? It's a
I called it a hibiscus beer, but you could put it in like the fruit beer categories, even though there's no fruit in there. It's quite fruity kind of palate profile. But
So, no, you can taste it. It tastes fruity. It tastes
you
kind of
taste,
fruity,
you really, like if you had a hibiscus tea before and you cool down the tea and make yourself a hibiscus iced tea, it'll be kind of similar to this beer, except it's carbonated and has alcohol to it.
I would say that. It's like almost like an iced tea.
It's like kind of like an iced tea beer, yeah.
It's if it, like a Rattler met an iced tea, it'd be kind of like that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to give it a shot then.
And I'm a big fan of cold steeping teas in the summer and drinking iced tea, and it's kind of the same way I use the flour in this beer, so it's pretty.
I want to make
Ask
a joke of some
Jay's
sort.
opinion of drinking tea.
What's your opinion of tea, Jay?
Yeah, Jay, tell us how you feel about tea.
Do I have like an actual opinion on this? Have I said something stupid before?
Jay,
I just hate
thinks
anything.
that drinking tea is like the guys who stormed the beaches in Normandy.
Did not drink.
We're not
tea.
drinking tea.
Yeah. So like your grandfather, who fought off Nazis, did not give a shit about.
He was
tea
fighting
in
the
morning.
Japanese that were drinking tea at the time.
Exactly.
Didn't he lose the war?
And guess what your grandfather did on the boat? The landing craft. He was having a shot of whiskey and a cigar,
if not like half a bottle.
Exactly, and just running through. So you're right.
Yeah,
Tea's horseshit. Like I say,
but not that beer though.
this beer's solid.
The beer is solid.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna brew like a bunch of tea beer just for you, Jay.
I want sours. I've actually I've lately, like I say, I've been crazy into sours. I know like Merit Brewing in Hamilton. The same with what's the other guys in Hamilton? Collective Arts.
Oh, they're in Hamilton.
Yeah. They're sours. I don't know if you've had any sours.
I can't say I have.
They are
from them.
It's either you love them or hate them.
They're from Collective Arts. They're really good.
Yeah.
They're nice and clean and tart.
For those
really
sours, though, like I say, the Merit, but they're much more like local. They don't really, they're not in the LCBO as much or whatever. Their sours are better.
Yeah, Aaron Spinney is the brewmaster.
Yep.
Buddy of mine. Yeah, I know him pretty good.
I love it.
Talking about sours, this week I'm brewing one.
There you go.
Yeah,
I will be here.
My parents picked 210 pounds of wild blueberries this summer, and they made puree. They froze it, so I'm brewing a Berliner Weiss with using lactobacillus, so it's going to be tart, and then I'm adding all the blueberries as raw, so it's going to be like a nice fresh blueberry tart beer. It should be on time for Christmas anyways.
Oh good. Man, I will be scooping some of that up.
They make the greatest stocking stuffers.
Berliner Weiss.
Absolutely.
I agree.
You also have you also have gift cards for stocking stuffers and stuff like that. Or?
We're gonna make up some little gift baskets there for Christmas.
Yeah, we got little ideas and.
You guys must be gearing up for Christmas, eh? Now it's
just
it's
a good
it just flew by. All of a sudden, it's November now, and
there's always like a season to get ready for.
No kidding. Yeah. You got to get ready for the summer festival seasons, or
there's that right after New Year's. Start thinking, scheming things for like Super Bowl, and
then there's like
St. Patrick's
St. Patrick's Day. I'm sure that's going to be something else around here.
Another stout. What is that going to be?
Sure, we'll make a bourbon aged shipwreck with some oak chips and some bourbon in there. Make it 12.5% instead.
Yeah, shipwreck is right. No, but that's awesome. But what I kind of want to get into, I know we talked a lot about politics and like the economics of running a small business and that. We sort of got into the weeds with that. But I kind of want to talk to you guys about what your experience has been like since you've been running this place. Like I've seen that you guys have started to get involved with a lot of community events, a lot of like you guys had your beer featured at Stars and Thunder, right?
Yep.
And you guys have started getting hooked up with were you at the kayak festival?
No, we were
not the kayak festival. But tell us a bit more about like even different establishments where you're getting your beers in and getting some exposure.
Yeah, it was a little slow at the start. Things are warming up now. We have quite a bit of customers now. We have a place in Cochrane, 2 places in Sudbury. We got the Manita Fishbowl. We have Siva's. Where else? We have the Timmins Rock Games now.
Oh,
yeah.
Where are they serving beer at the Rock Game? Like at the coffee shop?
No, just upstairs.
No.
On the entrance side, you walk up the stairs. There's like a little mezzanine thing. You walk in the back. It goes into their ballroom.
Okay.
through there, and they have a little fridge set up.
Can you actually watch the games from up there?
Yeah, there's a designated drinking area where you can watch the
have to
games.
drink there?
Yeah, you have to drink there, unfortunately, but it's not like the ACC or whatever it's called now.
What is it now?
The Honda Center,
Scotiabank
Scotiabank, yeah. So, but yeah, like we just brought that online this week with our Johnny Jones. Like the Fishbowl has it, Manita, a few other places, Cheapsters. Then the working class has been buying a little bit of stuff here and there, like the Skipper and some other stuff. Yeah, Dante Club as well. They've been buying cans off us. So.
Yeah, we had a few dinners as well at the Dante Club.
Yeah,
okay.
Beer pairing dinners. So,
yeah,
Dante Club's been it's our second one now, so we're probably going to run for early next year. Holds about 65 people, and it sold out really quick the first two times, and all our beer was featured with our it was a 5-course meal each time, and each course was represented by one of our beers.
And who was the cook on that?
Rodney at the Dante Club.
Oh, okay.
The Dante Club putting it on.
Yeah.
So
the chef.
Dante Club cooked the food, and Louise, Kevin's mom, makes up the menu, basically.
There you go.
Oh, nice. And how have you been finding like the engagement in the community? Because I feel like there's a new
appreciation.
A new appreciation for different things in town now. Like people aren't so stuck necessarily. In
I absolutely agree. Our support's been fantastic. So far.
We've been, praised by a lot of people. Like, you guys are doing a good job. You guys are coming out with awesome beers. Yeah. We're always teaming up with Radical Gardens, a few other chefs in town that are cooking with our beer, doing different events on their own. It's a good little partnership to have. And
it's nice to see people from the community come in and they're like, oh, I heard there was a brewery here. You guys brew the beer here? And because they know nothing about it, right?
Yeah, I really understand.
Like, beer to them has always come from a box, and it's always tasted a certain way. And then they're like, what do you mean there's a brewery in town here? And then they walk in, you really brew it there? Like, you want to try a few? And then they try a few, and then for the first time, beers taste differently to them, and it kind of, sometimes it blows their mind. Sometimes they hate everything. Like, it kind of goes any way, but it's really fun to see.
I think people have been starting to have a bit of an open mind when it comes to things like beer, but also just like food is another one. Like having different types of food available to people in town, and some people taking chances on doing different things, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Tends to open people's minds.
I think there's a bit of a movement to bring things locally with all the Netflix documentaries. People are actually talking about it, and people are like, it seems like a main issue in a lot of people's lives, so they actually actively try. Like, there's a new shop now, the Urban Market in South Porcupine just opened up, and they just sell like local produce as much as they can from town, and they're open up all winter long. They make bread, and you just go in there, buy your carrots and potatoes. It's like an old school Western market. It's the coolest thing. I went there this weekend. It blew my mind. It's happening more and more in Timmins, and it's because people are supporting it that we could do this.
That you can actually
doesn't work without support, right?
No, exactly.
A lot of people are growing stuff on their own now. Like, a lot of people have gardens, and they're going out to the Mountjoy Fall Fair every weekend selling their produce, and they're taking gardening and growing stuff on their own. And it seems to be more and more popular every year. So we even have our own hop farm in town now. So
And do you guys source from there? Or?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, we brewed a second batch of Hit Chop this year, which was made with almost entirely wet hops from the Whitney Hop Yard. Okay. And they showed up here still on the vine. It took 3 days to pick about 40 pounds to be able to do one batch of it. It was a lot of work, but you know what? The beers turned out good, so I'm quite happy with it.
What would you say is so you guys have like a list of about 12 beers there, or give or take. What do you say is kind of your flagship beer, and what do you think has been? I'm assuming the flagship is probably the most popular, but next what do you think has been like the second most popular, or surprisingly most popular?
Surprisingly is the hipster. Okay. Like, that's been selling really good since it released. Obviously, we have our 3 flagships. We have Lagady Set, Polar Day, Polar Night.
And what is the difference between those 3?
Lagady Set's a Belgian blonde ale, and Polar Day is a session IPA, and the Polar Night's a dry stout. The Polar Day.
Well, the wife loves like
Grisette.
She picks up all the time.
Yeah, we still sell a lot of Grisette, which is cool. It's got its own little following there for sure. Those Polar Day people love that.
Yeah, Polar Day
at the Beer Fest. here in town.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For the first time, and I just
Like, wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's a nice hoppy beer. There, I have a fresh batch that I'm canning on Monday, and if you want some fresh Polar Day, I'd say come get some next week. It's
Yeah,
it's
it's
brand
coming
new.
back.
It's gonna be good. So yeah.
And well, we had like our seasonals. We had the May Run Saison, which came out on May Run. We actually made a second batch of it midsummer. Decided to bring it back, and that was selling really good. The Johnny Jones we come out with about a month ago now.
Yeah, we brewed that one as a one-off, and it's done so good that we're gonna keep it going all the time.
Solid.
That's the one we had at the Manita the other night.
Yes,
Yes,
that would
it
be the
was.
one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Cool.
Yeah.
Dropping random names for other companies. No, I'm just kidding.
We gotta go interview Frankie there next.
Frankie, yeah, he's
yeah.
awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Frankie's a good guy.
Frankie's really awesome. No, he's. We're thankful for his support and having us on tap there. And Johnny Jones, like he's on his fourth keg of it now. He's just selling a keg a week of it. He's like, oh, it's really good. Everybody loves it, and it's good to have a fitting beer finally to say, it's a good beer to have full time now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we came out with a label for it. So yeah, we have like a limited release label that we just slap on.
From the museum, right? Like you guys had.
So we had Karen from the Timmins Museum helped me with the story, and like we came up with the same picture of him on the wall at the museums on the can. So we have a story of him on the can, both French and English. And, he's a pretty interesting guy. Like done tons of stuff in the community. Unfortunately, wasn't a successful miner, but he did have mining claims. He did invent a bunch of stuff. He took a group of people from Toronto to Timmins on dog sled. Yeah, he's pretty interesting.
He's an interesting guy.
Yeah, for sure. So wanted to capture a little bit of Timmins history in a can.
Yeah, and there's not many people that come out of Timmins history as oh yeah, that guy did crazy stuff in Timmins. And I don't know. It's good to look back in our past and just see what was going on.
Because you always hear
50 years
about
ago,
the successful people.
Yeah.
And Hollinger and McIntyre, and then there's Johnny Jones, which was a crazy guy that took people on dog sleds. Yeah, so he rescued a bunch of balloonists from Moose Factory and brought them back to Timmins or Matisse to the train station.
And people are like, never mind. You know what? Send us back. Or never mind.
We're done. Moose Factory, no, to Matisse, no, we're done.
No, send us back, please.
Yeah, send us back.
We don't want to be here.
Imagine those poor souls being brought by freaking dog sled from Toronto to Timmins, just wondering, where the hell am I going?
Why are we doing
What
this?
They only hit snow in Sudbury.
But I do find it very interesting that you guys are choosing to highlight some of the culture
like
of Timmins because me and Jay grew up. Well, I mean, I think you guys are born bred in Timmins, right?
Yeah, all of us here at Compass are born here.
All four of us born
back
and
of a
raised in
Caprice.
Timmins. Yeah, but I remember growing up here, and I never really got the sense that Timmins was a real cultural hub. Like there wasn't a lot of culture associated with Timmins. I knew there was a lot of mines around here, and mining's just.
That was
just
culture.
mining, right? The mining industry. But the idea that there's so many stories that come out of the fact that mining existed around here. It's such a pioneer kind of spirit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're
you
trying to
can
build
imagine
off.
that there's some real characters to tell the story about, right? So it's
There's a
interesting
few,
that's happening now. It feels like there's a bit of a movement going on in Timmins now where people are starting to buy into this idea of there being a culture around the community.
Culture around Timmins, because forever it seemed like only Chains restaurant existed here and there wasn't that many local stuff. And I think the people understood that and they were like, oh, nothing local ever works here because you look around, there was only Chains.
There's a Stomping Tom song about Timmins, right? And if any of you guys know what that is, you guys know.
Isn't there one about the fire?
Yes, exactly. Fire in the Mine.
Yeah, Fire in
Stomping
the
Tom.
Mines, that's right.
It's a great song.
Yeah, there's Sudbury Saturday Night as well.
Yeah, Sudbury Saturday Night's another one. And then there's where have you been? Or I've been everywhere, man. Talks about Timmins. It says mentions Timmins.
He mentions Timmins in it?
And a couple of places. But the Fire in the Mine. You guys should all listen to songs about the McIntyre fire.
McIntyre.
And it got it McIntyre got also it expanded because all the shafts met up with different mines because they were just start digging in one direction and oh, by the way, there's another we just met up with the Hollinger mine.
We broke
Hollinger
through.
mine had to shut down because the fire made it from the McIntyre to the Hollinger. And it's all in that song. It's awesome. And it talks about how many thousands of people are out of work and just didn't know the city would continue. They didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty sweet. And good old Stomping Tom, who's now in the Canadian Music Hall of Fame.
Really?
Yeah.
He got inducted not too long ago.
A couple weeks
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah, really? Wow.
Love Stomp Tom. What a good guy.
I
Shows how
love
much I've
Stomping
been
Tom.
following.
I honestly, I'll have like 7 Stomping Tom songs on my phone. I just listen to them every once in a while. Tilsonburg.
It's the reason why I know they farm the uranium in Kirkland Lake. Good old Stomping Tom.
Stomping Tom.
Love that guy.
The man.
Telling stories about the North. Eh?
So do you guys want to do a Rotten Tomatoes game? Just,
Rotten Tomatoes, yes.
We haven't done it in a while.
Man, it's true. Did we do one on? Well,
No,
we definitely
God,
didn't do one on the live podcast because
No.
we fucked that up. Pretty bad.
that was
Our
rough.
apologies.
That was rough.
You know, what,
Hey,
should we address that or should we just like?
well, you know what? Like we meant to do a live one during the municipal election. I would argue we had a fair amount of drink during that one. It was fun and like it was actually a great time with
Great conversation,
So
too.
we had Ryan Plouffe and Andrew.
Yeah.
And you know, like Andrew, man, that guy knows his politics. That guy knows. Andrew Audio knows his stuff. That guy, smart guy. He had some good stories, but that we didn't know about. So it was actually a great time. With
He spent most of the time talking, and his was the microphone that never worked.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Throughout the entire podcast.
So his and mine, or the 2 microphones, didn't work. I was getting texts nonstop saying, "Your microphones don't work. Get your shit together, guys."
Yeah.
So
I was
you're
one of them.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
But there was like 4 other people sending me texts nonstop. My phone was going crazy.
We went offline for a little bit and tried to
So it didn't work out,
yeah.
but it would have been a great time. And actually, you know what? I think there was some pretty cool stuff in that podcast that could have been interesting. But
no Rotten Tomatoes game.
no Rotten Tomatoes game. So
Didn't miss anything.
so I guess I'll describe it Rotten Tomatoes game. I was actually lambasted or lamblasted. Yeah.
The word lamblasted.
That's
That's right. Sandblasted. Yes, I think that's the word you're just looking for.
Oh God! You just yell that for. We need to find a different game than just a Rotten Tomatoes game.
What?
But you know what? Fuck you. We're doing a Rotten Tomatoes game. No. Actually, myself and the local transient, Jonathan Blanche.
Oh, he told you.
No, he wasn't. But we're actually coming up with a couple different segments. So we're gonna have a couple different games coming up. But right now we've got the Rotten Tomatoes game still. So the Rotten Tomatoes game essentially is I will just describe a movie. I'll say a quick little synopsis about it, what year it was, and you guys are going to decide or try to guess on what the rating is on Rotten Tomatoes. And the closest, we're going to go like kind of, I guess, golf score, the lowest difference from the score will win. So so let's say if I say Schindler's List, it's a 98%. You guys said 94. You're off by 4. You got a 4 score.
That classic beer movie,
Exactly.
Schindler's List.
And so I did pick beer.
Quadruple bogey. God damn it.
All right, so we're gonna go here, and we'll go McGee down towards.
All right.
So first film, 1983 film. In their quest for free beer, bumbling Canadian brothers Bob and Doug McKenzie wind up working at the Elsinore Brewery. The hapless lads uncover a sinister mind-controlling plot spearheaded by the brewmeister Smith and must stop the scheme. The film is Strange Brew.
Strange Brew.
I've never heard of this movie.
You've never heard of Strange Brew?
Oh,
Are you kidding me?
Also-
SCTV?
Also, I was born in 1991.
Still,
that's a good point.
none of us.
Yeah, we
weren't born in 83 yet, so it doesn't matter. I also
Bob and Doug McKenzie.
Bob and Doug, it's SCTV stuff.
Yeah, SCTV.
But essentially, you needed like if your dad wasn't into the stupid shit, you never would have seen it.
Good point.
No.
That's
yeah,
the thing.
and I'm thinking that I'll get him a pretty low score on Rotten Tomatoes. So I got an idea.
We're gonna go with so Corey. We're gonna go you first.
It's a great film.
Okay.
On par with Schindler's List. I'm going to give it an 83.
83. Kevin.
Well, considering its age and not cheesiness, I don't know. It's a good movie. Some people find it good, some people don't. We'll go with 63.
63.
Yeah.
Mael.
Tough crowd.
I was hoping you go like 80 so I could go 79 and win this whole thing.
Oh, there you go. $1 Bob.
What'd you say, Kevin?
That's $2, Bob.
What'd you say, Kevin? What was your number?
Can't go over. Said 60.
63?
63, I think it was.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 75.
75.
Huh?
Right down the middle.
Right in the middle there.
All right. Jay.
One sec. I just want
The big
to
reveal.
quickly. So the big reveal. Somebody was one off.
What?
Yes.
It's got to be me.
Probably. Game's rigged.
There's no way that.
Strange Brew is rated at 74.
I had the chance of
Good.
going in the middle of everybody.
Hell of a guess for a guy who's never seen the movie.
Hey-o.
All right.
Never mind, never seen the movie. Never
just-
heard of the movie.
Nope.
So this next one, a personal favorite, actually. I believe it was played at it might have been a Cinema Politica back in the day when
Cinema Politica.
Yeah, Jonathan Belanger used to run this super left-wing commie film festival thing. Then he moved on to that Timmins Film Society stuff afterwards. But he used to do this super
He was
commie
moderated.
thing. Yeah. Which, surprisingly, that place is still going strong, that little Timmins Film Society. Good
See,
for them.
again, another feather in the cap of Timmins culture. Right?
Exactly.
Timmins
Who got that
So much
restarted?
culture in
Oh,
Timmins.
yeah.
Exactly.
Jason Boss, no. Anyways, so this next one is a documentary, 2009. The independent brewers challenge corporate behemoths in the U.S. beer industry. Director Annette Barron. It is Beer Wars.
Oh yeah, I remember watching that.
Solid movie.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
What,
Corey?
No, I haven't. What is it?
Oh.
It's year. What's
09.
09, really?
Yeah. Oh, it's solid. You gotta watch this. It's good.
Okay, so considering I've never seen it,
100.
but Jay says it's really good, so I'm gonna
Well-
say 16. No, 16. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna guess 77.
77. Kevin.
I'll do 88, Bob.
88. Not yet?
I'll do 90.
90.
You wait.
All right. Real quick. Talk it up for a second.
Oh, what do you think it is?
I just want to do
like the
I just want to
movie,
do the
man.
add-ups real fast.
Oh, okay.
Just so it could be
you
easier
gotta
for
get
me
yourself an
to.
Excel spreadsheet.
I do have this. I have set it up before, but I didn't really
The auto sum.
do that this time.
Yeah.
Boo 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 do do do. And all right, the score for Beer Wars is a respectable 67%.
67%.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good
Who's
old
got that
Rotten
one?
Tomatoes. That was a good
I
documentary.
know it's a good doc, but documentaries don't usually get the
Super
score.
high scores,
They
eh?
don't. That's the thing.
What did
Unless it's-
what did
unless
Making
it's
a
made by Michael
Murderer
Moore.
make?
Yeah, Making a Murderer.
It's probably up
or
there.
anything by Michael Moore.
Oh yeah,
true,
probably.
true.
It's
He
probably
made
up
Beer Wars.
Yeah.
I feel like.
It'd probably be better too, a little bit.
All right, so this is a bit of a rom-com. 2013. Although they both dated other people, two coworkers, starred by Olivia Wilde and Jake Johnson, hang out together in bars and try to ignore their mutual attraction. The film is Drinking Buddies.
Oh, I saw that.
I
almost don't
You
want.
saw that?
I saw it because it said "Drinking Buddies" in the title, and I'm all about drinking. So.
I've never
I
heard
have
of
to
Strange
say that.
Brew, but Drinking Buddies.
Yeah.
I'm-
Right on that. Olivia Wilde, I'm on.
I'm gonna give
to
that
be fair,
movie-
If Olivia Wilde's on, I'm watching it.
I'm gonna give that movie a 25.
You're giving it a 25?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's bad. It's not
Mr.
good.
McGee?
30.
30. Kevin?
I'll do 47.
47.
Yeah.
I'm,
That was such a bad film.
this is one of those films that you could still be upset about. Rotten Tomatoes ranks this at 83.
No way. Dude, that was like the worst brewery movie I've ever watched. Like straight up, it was so bad. Some famous actors in there.
83.
Who's rating this shit?
That's the problem.
Well,
But you got to remember, like we've talked about before, for a lot of this stuff, you have to look at this. Like, let's say if you're looking at an IPA. If I bring the wife in and you have a nice, strong IPA, super, super bitter, she's going to hate it.
Yeah.
But you bring in like one of those goddamn hopheads, they'll be, you know what? This is fantastic, or this is not. Like, they'll know.
Yeah.
But, you know, someone who's not educated or cultured on that aspect won't love it. But so if you have a rom-com, you rate it compared to other rom-coms. If you have a documentary, you compare it to other documentaries.
Exactly, yeah.
That's the thing. So, like, it might be good for a bullshit rom-com, which always sucked because you're taking the worst of both genres.
Yeah, it's the worst genre. It's like the best of the worst genre.
Exactly. But that's the thing. It's always hard. It's hard to because you're like, oh, this is a bullshit movie.
Yeah.
But if you compare it to a bunch of other bad rom-coms, this might be pretty solid. Anyways, so our last.
This is the last one.
Our last one.
Oh, I'm doing terrible in this round. Usually I'm really good at this game. But.
So this film, two brothers from America happen upon a secret and centuries-old beer game competition during a visit to Germany's Oktoberfest.
Oh, yeah.
After
My
losing
favorite.
badly, they return to America and assemble an impressive team of brew lovers and return to Germany for a rematch. 2006 film.
It's
Beer
too
Fest.
bad we don't have a ping pong table here still. We just got rid of it last week.
I see
Oh,
the
yeah,
pallets
it's
back
fun.
there.
Yeah,
we
there
got
you
the
go.
ping pong
Yeah.
paddles.
All right, so Beer Fest, Mr. McGee.
Oh, dude.
Oh, clearly 112.
I know what that deserves. Yeah, it's 150. I don't know.
I gotta say 93. He's laughing. He's like,
No, I'm not saying
"You're
anything.
fucking way off."
You're saying 112. I'm just laughing at you guys. Like, I'm not saying it's lower. I'm not saying it's lower. I'm not saying it's higher.
Higher than
Kevin,
93?
I'll do 89.
Other than 95.
It's like, Jay's like, let's
Christ.
Citizen Kane got like 87, so
Right. Okay, talk amongst yourselves for 2 seconds.
What a sweet movie that is.
It is a
And
good
also, with the pot legalization, they should have made Weed Fest or whatever.
Fest.
Because they alluded to
Because
that I
I
at the end of that movie. You
They
know?
did. They absolutely
Right?
did.
yeah,
Yeah, damn.
That would have been a good idea.
You guys sucked at this.
With weed
Yeah, no,
legalization,
Fuck.
I'm wondering if it's possible to brew a weed beer.
I'm actually starting some trials on the homebrew scale with
really?
a local grower guy that's
No
I'm in communication with, but now legally is a whole different
Yeah,
question.
because secondly,
'Cause
it has to be any grower has to be licensed by the province
Yeah,
firsthand.
Of course. And for now, breweries cannot sell or like they're not going to allow the sale of marijuana where you could sell alcohol as well.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
now,
yeah,
so
yeah,
that's
yeah.
going to have to change before I think we could ever brew with this stuff.
Yeah.
But to get ahead of the game, I'm starting now to do
Yeah, to
trial
see,
batches with this
yeah.
stuff for sure.
Huh.
Yeah.
Nice. That'd be fucking weird, eh?
Buzz
I don't know.
beer.
I've had some really good and bad experiences with alcohol and marijuana. So
Yeah, I think it's a learning experience for sure.
no kidding. So Jay, how'd we do?
All right. You will be surprised that this might be one of our worst showings of the Rotten Tomatoes game.
That's probably true. I would not be surprised to say that. To think
I will
that.
argue I am surprised about winners and losers right now. So, at 125, that is differential between what was right and wrong. So you're looking at a couple of games that were rounds that were 50 off. In second place, 125, Corey McGee.
I'm in second place.
Second
with
place.
that?
Oh,
Wow,
dude,
okay.
I'm last.
That's a problem.
So,
Who got who?
you know what? Jesus Christ.
Okay,
Corey.
I'm sorry.
All right,
I'm sorry.
A bit of drama, a bit of theatrics on this. We have to try and
behind
build it
door
up.
three?
Dear Lord.
Let's go to a commercial.
Can we go
So-
to
Good
commercial?
idea.
So,
He needs another beer.
Mael,
Yes.
you are one of the two
Yeah, I
between
gathered that. Yeah.
first and third.
Oh,
All right.
thought you
One
might
of
have
you have 117. Still not super good, but 117. And the other one's 137.
That's not
So-
that bad. It's pretty close.
Both, not much of a difference, but both horrible scores. If you guys went 50 the whole way through, you guys would have done better. Just split the difference. So yeah, Mael, you're one of those two. And Kevin, you're actually one of the other.
Oh,
weird.
no way. Oh, really?
So, of 137 points,
Saying I have a chance.
bring up the rear is Mael. Kevin, you win 117
oh
points.
my God!
I owe you a
So
beer, Kevin.
you win the grand prize of nothing.
Nothing.
Since we have
Yes.
no sponsors on this show. You said
Sponsored by
throw to a
Compass
commercial. Commercial is just we turn the camera away or off or something for like 10 minutes.
Something.
Jay
something's
goes to
going
the
on.
washroom. There's the commercials on beer bullshit.
So that was our Rotten Tomatoes game, beer edition.
Should
yeah,
we
you-
retire the Rotten Tomatoes game after today?
I don't think retire. I think it's, I would argue, is,
Sabbatical.
so, like, you bring in a couple other games.
Hibernation.
Yeah, just take a little break, find a couple other ones. But once, like, I want
Flip cup.
I would love
That's
I would love ideas. I love people to send me ideas on what they think would be.
I like the Rotten Tomatoes game.
And you know, everyone who does it does really enjoy
It's
it.
true. It's true. It is fun.
It might not be as fun for people listening, but even then, hey, guess your fucking self. Jesus Christ.
It might not be fun for people listening, but that's not why we do
That's
this.
not why we do
anyways.
this.
They didn't want to listen to politics either. Let's be real.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
But no, I've always argued I've always kind of wanted to do a similar game of the hypothetical road trip game, where essentially you pick on who you would want to be in the car with. Between like the guy who shares a Facebook account with his wife, or the guy who works out with his wife, and not just work out, like do every exercise together. So which one of the two would you want to spend time with? So stuff like that. So because really,
Would you rather?
yeah, would you rather? Which one would you rather? And would you rather take a car, like a road trip with, for from Timmins to Windsor, a 12-hour drive? You're stuck with this guy, and you have to talk to this guy the entire way. So which one would you
Sounds
rather
like personal
do?
experience.
No. It's just it's
That's a good game. I
the
like
two
that.
worst people.
Who are you referring to there, Jay?
I don't know. But I guarantee we probably all know somebody who has a shared Facebook account with their wife, or works out and does. And it's not that you go to the gym together. It's the guy who you're like, oh, we're both gonna do the squat machine one after the other. I'm gonna spot you. Like if I go to the gym with my wife,
they
I'm
spot
at the other
each
fucking
other.
side.
My God.
I'm not doing anything around my wife. At the
That
gym.
means your wife would have to be like as strong as you.
Well, you
Yeah.
can
Kind
change
of.
it. You can change the bloody
can't-
weights. You don't have to just leave.
Yeah, if
You
you're
don't
not
just kill her every time.
All right, so I just benched 200 pounds.
Get to it.
Get
go.
to it,
Your
girl.
turn, honey. Yeah, let's go.
Hey,
It might be the reverse roles
need a
too.
spot.
Your wife could 300 and you can't, and your turn now, and you're like, oh, I
or
feel
is
so
it bad
inferior.
if your
My
wife
God.
spots you on the bench?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? I would argue if she's spotting you, you don't need as much power spotting you. Just
to
that
grab
extra
that
little bit
thing,
help
yeah.
to
Just
lift that
need that,
50 pounds
yeah.
more than you can do. You can lift the other
Yeah.
Well,
150.
Jason, as somebody who's extremely progressive, I believe that women can lift just as much as men can. So
They can lift just as much as me, anyway.
Exactly.
as some men.
And some people would argue that's a man. So you can.
Well, I have a ponytail.
Yeah, you do.
man bun.
I wear it proudly.
I'm pretty sure I can probably do the man bun now. Like,
Oh, yeah,
pretty long.
you could
Look at
do
that.
a man bun. You could do a man
up
bun.
there.
It's like less hipster, more homeless.
More trucker, hippie trucker.
Hippie trucker.
To be fair, I don't have a job, so
I'm just jealous of your shirt, man. It's a
50
sweet
bucks is
shirt.
50 bucks.
So now that we're done getting to know each other. So
we're running an hour here.
Yeah, guys, does it feel like you guys have been on this podcast for an hour?
I don't know. My
40
beer's done.
minutes.
So
Yeah, mine too.
are we getting
Mine
another
too.
one?
I could do.
do you want
one of
us-
these hipsters there?
Hipster?
Yeah, absolutely. I would try one of
Whatever
those
you want to
guys.
get me.
Okay. I'll be back.
He's like,
I've had them all, so feel free.
I got one of my homebrewed THC beers there. That I'm gonna give you. Oh man.
So this is one of those lulls we have to figure out what we want to say next.
No. What we'll do is we just won't talk for 10 minutes, and then I'll just edit it out.
Yeah,
and we'll just
because I gotta.
You got to piss.
yeah, that's fine.
All right,
Unfortunately.
all right.
Talk
So
to each
go
other.
for
That's
it.
fine, that's
Corey
fine.
and I have a couple things
got
we'll
a
probably
tinkle.
discuss about
Yeah,
the
we'll try not
pod.
to talk behind your back.
All right.
It's on record.
That son of a bitch. I don't understand their logo. It's so useless. No, okay. Are you going to keep drinking this swill?
No, this stuff's actually amazing.
Oh, solid.
That shipwreck there is,
Yeah.
is something else. The way you're describing that hibiscus, I'm very excited to drink it. But like, don't you find it like so weird and consistent? Because as soon as we started talking about this, like the process for establishing the brewery, I was like, oh man, this is like, this is deja vu there from when we were talking to the Full Beard guys. They were talking about the same thing, right? The same kind of red tape and all that. And I'm like, man, I wonder with the Ford government, are they really gonna like are small businesses gonna see that kind of change?
I don't think. Honestly, I don't think a small business is going to see the change. It's not. If you look at all the cuts that have been made so far, it does not help small business.
No.
You can argue the minimum wage thing. I will always argue that if the increase from $14 to $15 is what's going to it's going to break the business, I don't think you have a leg to stand on. So I really don't think that's. I don't think the argument really holds water. I don't think it does. Hey, if they want to get rid of regulations for small businesses to start up, I think there's an argument to be made. That's not what you're seeing. And who's lobbying governments and giving large donations? It's not going to be small guys. It's going to be large companies. So guess what? Lobbying gives you a vote.
Yeah, that's a good
Ooh,
point.
there you go. Something different.
Whoa.
Of course, Corey's not on the same as us. But I do want to mention real quick is that we have
drinking slow?
we have reset our SoundCloud account. If you guys do want to download previous podcast and listen to the audio aspect just on your phone or whatnot, it is ready. You can start downloading them again. I believe it's all good to go. So 100%. Get back to it, and I believe all the archive stuff should be there. So
everything's going to be there except the stuff we intentionally didn't release.
Exactly. But feel free to get on there and download all your podcasts. We are looking at that is a solid one. You're right. So Corey just tried the hibiscus one, and it's pretty solid. I'm gonna figure out which one.
Well, wait till they tell you
exactly.
What it is, yeah.
But all I gotta say next to that is we're always looking for ideas. We're looking for people to come on. If you have a couple ideas that you want to try, feel free to send me a message.
Yeah, I'm going to give a little call out to our newly elected council.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we'll send some messages out to any of them. But if you guys are interested in coming to talk on our podcast here, talk politics, talk what your intentions are for the next 4 years. I'd love to talk to some of the local new local politicians.
Boileau, Murray.
We've got some.
You know what? I bring Noella back on. She was awesome the first time.
And she was also awesome to text with during that mayoral.
It was awesome. Oh, if I can let you guys know what she was telling us, it was hilarious. It was great. It was great. So
no, it was more what we were sending to her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think we're the funny ones.
But even then, I would love to bring the new mayor on. That'd be something interesting to talk about because I think I know I wasn't in support of maybe some of the people who were supporting him.
Yeah,
not him himself, but just there was a group I was following him who I did disagree with often.
Yeah,
but I would love to hear what he says because I did meet him in person and actually I was originally I was just because being friendly with Mr. Black, I was kind of wondering who is this guy? But spoke to him and you know what? Didn't seem all that bad. I could get behind what he was saying, so I wouldn't mind to sit down and chat with him.
Yeah, we're talking a bit about the recent municipal elections.
Oh yeah, you're talking about Mr. Peary.
Yeah. We just elected a new council, new mayor. Steve Black is out. Peary is in.
Yeah, Peary actually came to the brewery about a week before the election.
Really? What do you guys think of him?
Introduced himself. He's nice. He talked to me.
Yeah.
I know a bit of the family through way back when. But
yeah.
Oh, a really nice guy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people on the internets.
I have a hard time with his followers as well. Like you were saying,
that's what it was. It was just the followers. Thanks for that.
Hated us.
Yeah.
Well, they
don't like us.
They didn't like us as far as the way because we were friendly with Steve.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
And we didn't think he was a bad mayor. I supported him in the last election because I didn't think Timmins was going in a bad direction.
Nope.
But I think this election kind of got unfairly, and this is sort of unfair to George Peary because it got painted as this Steve Black versus
anyone else,
versus the anti-Steve Black. And I don't necessarily think that George Peary was the anti-Steve Black, right?
No.
When you actually listen to his policy proposals.
Did you watch the debates?
I did.
You were there?
I did.
Oh, you guys were there. Nice,
we were there.
I watched it online there, so I saw the whole thing going on.
You know what though? There's some guys that stole the fucking show at that debate.
In the crowd that were yelling?
Dan Fortsy.
Oh, yeah, that
guy stole the fucking show.
But man, you're saying about yelling in a crowd. It was the same three people in the crowd.
Yeah.
It was the exact
and
same
I'm
people.
guessing it's the same people that commented on Facebook
100%
as well.
was.
I'm pretty sure it's the same freaking
I recognize them all.
And these people should not have been allowed in there.
You're
They
right.
kick them out as soon as they yell, man.
you know
That's not
No,
democratic.
there's
Get
just
out of
no
here, man.
order to anything.
That pissed me off.
And most debates, you go to a Trump debate, someone shouts out, "Oh, you're gone."
Yeah.
Like any debate, you're gone.
Well, except for Trump, which should be the one gone to that debate there, but whatever.
I think that when they started talking, one of the things that people got upset about is Black would sort of critique George Peary's business record, right? And
Yeah,
like, I
and
thought,
Peary
to
would
me,
critique Black's
exactly
like past
municipal
record.
record.
Municipal
Exactly.
record.
So I thought that was fair game, but I didn't necessarily think that it had that much impact, because I think anybody who really thought it through just sort of went like, yeah, okay, well that's basically that was in a different role in a different time with different circumstances. So it doesn't necessarily mean that he would be a bad mayor. Right?
No, I actually, after watching the debates, I didn't mind Peary after that. I was like, if he gets elected, you know what? It's not going to be the worst thing in the world. But after the debate, I made my choice of who I was going to vote for. I didn't make it until then.
No, and you know what? You make a good point when you say if he gets elected, it wouldn't be the end of the world.
Exactly.
However, if you looked online, like the same words or the same verbiage was being used by people online here talking about our municipal elections as in the U.S. talking about their midterm elections.
Yeah.
About
That's
how this was the
insane.
most important election and Timmins better not fuck this up. And like it was just like if we would have elected Steve Black as mayor again, that
he would have did a great job.
Town would have gone to hell in a handbasket. And when I hear like, the past council left this town in shambles. I go, what city are you living in?
I know, like, this
there's
town's
nothing
doing
but
better
amazing
now.
Things like Compass Brewing opening up and like,
Yeah.
But like, let's argue, like, crumbling infrastructure. Do you think that is because of the last 4 years or the last 8 years?
Yeah,
I would
can't do that
argue
with their-
this is 25, 30 years in the making of not investing in infrastructure.
Yeah.
So you can
That's not
you can put this.
directly-
You can put the blame
Yeah.
strictly at the feet of previous councils and previous mayors.
Sure.
So, like, and no one wants to talk about, Power or Logren, who never raised taxes one iota, but maybe they should have.
Yeah, who let the
maybe.
sewer situation in South End go on forever, and now
Yeah.
Black had to
And
deal with
now-
it and
now
spend a bunch of
somebody-
money.
yeah.
Like, it's not his
now
fault.
it's Black and Black.
Yeah.
Oh well, you guys didn't think about this. All right, so we're gonna lay all this, environmental engineering on these people. Let's give me a fucking break here.
This money that wasn't getting spent forever in Timmins, and it's a bad ecological catastrophe, and
back
we don't
12
talk
years.
about it. It's crazy.
Well,
I
I would
go
argue.
back 12 years and all the stuff that was built done. Did we need it? Like, there's stuff in town
Schneider
that
27?
should have been fixed by now. Look at Riverside.
Yeah.
And they got to dig it up again next year. It's just a temporary fix.
But Kevin, I want to ask,
That's like-
when do you remember old Riverside here being redone? When's the last time you remember doing it?
The last time they were rebuilding the bank across from Riverside RV, that was probably a good 15 years ago.
And what about the rest of Riverside? Repaved.
Oh, repaved. I'm talking about infrastructure.
Or properly, digging out and actually redoing it. When's the last time you remember any of it?
They were doing just spots here and there,
Yeah.
and there for
So,
the last
been
6
patchwork,
years.
yeah.
Yeah, so never got done. So this is stuff that
Yeah.
has for years have been an issue. And you want to argue, well, they should have been doing it now. Well, guess what? Let's say if we want to redo Old Riverside here, how much would we have to ask for cash-wise? And let's remember, South End, that connecting link, a huge portion is paid by provincial and federal fucking coffers.
Yeah, because
We're
you have
not
to
paid-
line it up with those
Yeah,
programs, right?
So this, guess what? No one else fucking did it. So are we going to lay the blame on these sites? Well, guess what? They did a portion of the 101.
They fixed some shit.
Yeah, they got some. So that's
And they dug deep. Did you notice that shit? Like,
Yeah.
A
Oh,
foot
yeah,
cement
yeah.
there. Like, they finally did it right, I think.
Yeah.
And I think he says.
I think.
I
think
we'll
we
see.
did. We'll see in a couple of years.
I'm not saying I think. I'm just an accountant. I don't know any of this stuff.
The biggest toll of the roads is those haul trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The road takes a shit kicking.
No,
yeah.
exactly. And it's not like people complain so much about just. I have no idea how they can legitimate, like, if you want to make the case that this is more related to administration and the people who are in those administration positions, that I can sympathize with a little bit more.
Yeah.
And you want to say that it's a lack of I don't know, those people would probably sit there and go like, listen, we're super overworked, we're understaffed, we have the same problems that any government organization has, right? And they'd probably have a legitimate issue as well. So and also we've talked about this before, where the downloading of new responsibilities onto the municipality compared to what the provincial and federal governments would take before. I fail to see how you can, as somebody who lives here, look at your like mayor and council and say, "This is all your fault."
Yeah, for sure.
End of the day, they do their best at what they got in
And
the
they
bank.
live here.
Yeah.
They live here. Like, do you think they want to see this place be fucked up?
Yeah, they drive here just as much as us, right? So, yeah. And they got to drive down Riverside and wait 20 minutes to get to Walmart, just like the rest of us.
We should have a little bit more appreciation for these people. I'm gonna start a new trend of like appreciating government. Instead
They should
of
have
being,
They should have a
Start
stat
shitting on them all
holiday.
the time.
yeah,
A stat
well,
holiday
Government
in
Appreciation
March.
Day. Let's see how well that goes along. I mean, give you a day off of work, so people probably
not?
be pretty
This is the
happy.
day we appreciate politicians.
I have a question here. What am I drinking right here?
This is a Buccaneer.
The Buccaneer.
Buccaneer. So
Corey
a
beer.
Corey
What type
can't
of beer
catch
in
up.
it? Like, give me a bit of a description of this.
so it's a Belgian wheat IPA.
Okay.
There's probably more stuff going on. It could be a longer name, but there's it's fermented with Belgian yeast, so you get some of that Belgian ester profile coming from the yeast, and it has American Cascade hops and German Hallertau hops. So it's like a German and American Belgian thing going on in a glass there, but it's pretty good, and a lot of wheat in it
Nations at
too.
work.
Yeah,
In a glass.
In a glass.
in a glass. Yeah.
All right,
this
so
is
is there like a bitterness level? Like, what would you?
Yeah, so it is an IPA, so it is a little bit bitter. Not too much. I feel like it's pretty restrained, and you definitely smell like the pininess from the Cascade and the funky spiciness from the Hallertau. There, it's a different type of hop, but it kind of all blends into its own thing. It's probably my favorite IPA right now.
No, yeah.
Yeah, over Polar Day.
What?
I like
And I would argue.
I like
I'm not.
IPAs,
I'm not a
so-
huge IPA guy, and I'm not minding this at all.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Like-
but this is like it's like a hit or miss beer for sure.
Well, before I leave here, I'm going to leave with 2 growlers. One of this stuff, this beautiful hibiscus beer, which is amazing.
You like the hipster?
Yeah, I love it. Love
Nice,
It.
yeah.
And that sounds.
To be fair, I left yesterday with 2 growlers, so
Are they still full?
no,
they're
actually,
not.
Oh,
we drank.
we killed the shipwreck yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah, after hockey yesterday.
But also, I have this douchebag called John Blanche. He lives in my house too.
Drinks your beer?
and he drinks my beer and has like other empty growlers sitting there too.
Sorry, I drank all your beer. Sincerely, the guy on the couch.
He's a literal transient.
Yeah, he just lives in my basement now.
Oh,
It's sad, and he has a cat. Like, who the fuck wants
I
a
have,
cat?
I have 2 cats.
Give me.
I got one.
Kevin's proud father of a cat.
See, there's
I hate my cats.
like Ron Swanson
I
says.
have a love-hate relationship with my cat.
Ron Swanson says, ditch the terrier and get yourself a proper dog. Any dog under 50 pounds is a cat, and cats are pointless.
Yeah, pointless for sure.
To be fair, I had a cat like my entire
I think
childhood growing up.
I think my cat turned on a faucet in my house about 2 days ago and flooded my whole basement.
nice.
Because
They're psychopaths.
They are nuts.
I woke up in the morning, 6 o'clock, and water was just dripping down the sink in my house. The faucet was on 100%. And there was about an inch of water in my basement.
Or you were just tanked
this is
and you
th-
freaking
you did it.
This is
on the cat.
this is 3 days ago. So theory 1 is the cat turned on the
Number
faucet.
2 is
Number 2 is me sleepwalking because I do
Yeah.
have a history of sleepwalking. I woke up outside a few times in my underwear and I was like, that's not right.
Set fire to your house. It was
So-
a fucking cat.
So theory 1, I'll blame the cat. Theory 2, I'll blame myself. Theory 3, I'll blame the girlfriend because it doesn't work in any other order than that. So
No kidding.
you woke up outside after the shipwreck, or
no. That's,
okay.
It was probably a lot of
What
drinking
gave
too.
you
But
guys that idea to make a beer that strong? Because that is fucking good.
I like stronger stouts, and we've been rocking the Polar Night for a long time, which people
yeah.
like, but it's 4.5%. You know, it's lighter, it's drinkable. It's like the most drinkable dark beer you could have. But then I wanted like to showcase a real stout. 9.5%, a lot of body into it, a lot of alcohol, a lot of flavors coming through, and it's just really smooth that one, man. It just goes down.
Yeah, it kind of tastes like you're drinking something that's a little stronger than beer. Like it's giving you a little bit,
For
but
sure.
it's not overly thick, which is what like I kind of
Because people
appreciate
associate
about it.
thickness here with nitrogen because they're used to anything dark being Guinness, which is
Yeah,
fermented with nitrogen, which gives you like a very
Creaminess.
creamy texture in your mouth.
heavy.
But people think that Guinness is thick, but really it's a very light-bodied beer, but they add nitrogen, so they kind of fool you into thinking it has a lot of body into it, right? But this is like CO2, which doesn't recreate that same kind of level of thickness that you find in a Guinness, but it still has that body there, so it's still like a full flavored experience.
Yeah, most
but
definitely.
it seems almost like smoother because it's not nitrogen. If you're yeah.
Well, when and that's what I was telling Jay last night when we were drinking the shipwreck. I said, this like my conceptualization of a stout is Guinness, right? Like I'm sure that's the first stout that most people drink.
Everybody.
They drink that stuff, and then as soon as they drink Guinness, they're like, "Oh yeah, I like stouts. I like stouts."
Or I don't like stouts.
Don't. Yeah, it's one or two.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's based on Guinness
But
for the most
the
part.
Guinness, even the flavor, like it really is its own thing. Like
you
like
compare
Guinness.
you compare it to like a Coors only, like it's the world's different. That's the thing.
But I mean, like even if you compare it to other stouts,
yeah, it's its own thing. Yeah,
It's its own thing because of the nitrogen for the most part.
yeah, and that's you think so? Right?
Absolutely. If I took Polar Night and put it on nitro, it would be very similar to Guinness. Yeah.
I always found like a lot of the other stouts and the shipwrecks like this as well. It's got some sweetness to it. Like it's got a certain amount of like I don't know, like just a sweet taste
The
to it.
sweetness comes from the body, which means the sugars that weren't fermented afterwards. So the leftover sugars in the beer creates the body for that beer.
Okay.
And that's
Then why isn't Guinness sweet?
because it's very light. It's very light bodied, but the nitrogen gives you the perception of body.
Okay.
So you get like a thick beer, but without any of the sweet actual body being there. So it's like they trick you into thinking it's a full bodied stout.
Thick beer.
Exactly, but in reality, it's as light as a Coors Light.
Whoa.
We converted a lot of people over to Polar Night. I don't like dark beer.
Because people are used to that thick feeling.
Guinness.
But Polar Night
So
is.
I'm like, well, here's a little sample of it. Try it.
Try it. Yeah.
They're like, oh my
It
god,
blows people's minds away
It's
because it
it's
feels
like
light in
chocolate
your mouth.
coffee or like something chocolatey. I'm like, yeah. Oh, it's
But
very
you
light.
go like in the States where people are used to having stouts on nitrogen and you know what it's about, and you give them like a CO2 stout that you call a dry Irish stout, and they'll be like, well, you should put it on nitro or in a cask, because that's nitro was made to mimic cask style beer from England's back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah, like beer with low carbonation with like a lot of body.
So is there something to that? Like, is there something to that process, or is it just like
instead of pressurizing the beer straight with CO2, you're using a beer gas, which means like a percentage of CO2 and nitrogen, and that's what instead
like
of
a
having
blend.
like bubbles that are this size, you're having bubbles that are like tiny, which is what gives you that creamy feeling in your mouth.
And when you pour, you get that long cascading.
Exactly, and you could pour it like
Yeah.
a meter up, and it's not going to foam out of your glass. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
it's just gonna-
nitrogen. It's hard to get into suspension. It's hard to get out of suspension as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're learning a lot about beer
And
today.
that's the whole purpose of the widget in a
Okay.
Guinness
in
can.
a Guinness can,
All that does is it blocks the hole as you're pouring it out, making the beer like go quick around the ball, and it aerates it a lot more, which means it's trying to get the nitrogen out of suspension as you're pouring it. So it's trying to create that cascading effect, which creates the creaminess in your mouth, right?
Okay. Yeah, because like a flat Guinness doesn't have that
No,
same
yeah.
kind of.
Or pour a Guinness and wait 10 minutes and then drink it. It's not the same.
Yeah.
You want to drink it while it's doing all that crazy shit.
Yeah,
in your glass there. Yeah.
Mill Street has that same widget, but it's more like a little disc at the bottom.
It's different, but it's the
different.
same principle.
purpose.
Yep.
Okay.
What's the Mill Street beer?
Cobblestone
that is on nitro. There's
It's
also Kilkenny in the
Kilkenny,
LCBO that's on nitro. So you could find a few different nitro beers out there. Yeah.
Like I've overcarbonated a dark beer where when I poured it real quick, it kind of had like the cascading effect. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, but yeah, like there's a special tap for stouts, for nitro stouts.
Yeah, and it basically creates like a widget. Like it'll create some a restriction or looking for a word, kind of drunk, whatever.
It restricts the flow midway and it
Exactly,
pours out.
and there's more air that gets into the beer, and then it cascades it right out of the tap instead of like pouring the can all super high and shit. Like nitro tap is its own specific thing.
I'm so glad I leave the brewing to the professionals. I'll drink it.
To the home brewers,
To the homebrewers, yeah.
Hello, homebrewer.
We all start somewhere.
Clink, 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 clink.
Clink, 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 clink. Yeah, I know. Like we all had our different experiments gone wrong. I'm sure in our house. Like I had many beers that started off okay. Like I started off with like pre-made. Oh, it was like goo in a can. You just pretty much mix in water and boil a bit. Yeah,
you did those
malt,
kits, eh?
liquid malt extract, and it was like, yeah, I know this tastes like crap. It's like shit. It's like I bottled this shit. Like, so then became all grain, and like we started doing all grain pretty well at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, like I started like pre-crushed grain I bought, but then I got my own malt mill, and he had an old
I bought a corn mill for like $60, which I just like loosened it enough to just like separate the grain. So that's what I use. And then I retrofitted it to put my drill on it too. So
yeah.
So
I bought one that was called the Serial Killer.
Yeah, serial killer.
Yeah, put a drill on it. Nice. I was like, yeah. He came over a couple of times there because it takes too long. So literally mine was like
that was before I set up my drill. Yeah,
like 12 pounds of malt. 12 pounds of malt.
It would take me like about an hour to heat up my strike water to do the mash, and almost as much time to mill my grain. So as I was heating up, I was just like giving a shit to like get it done at the same time.
Forearm is all
and I did this for like 3 years before putting my drill on there, and then I was like, I'm an idiot. I should have did this immediately. Like, why didn't I do this? God damn it. Yeah.
No, it's cool. Well, gentlemen, we are coming up on the hour and a half mark.
Wow. Sorry, folks.
No. Are you?
It was good. This was a good.
No,
it's solid.
A lot of fun.
Yeah,
for sure.
No, we want to thank you so much for letting us come here on a snowy Sunday afternoon, because this is clearly what we should be doing.
It's already dark.
That's a perfect Sunday night.
It's like
it's 5 o'clock.
It's like going into the mine. You go in, it's light, or you come out, it's dark. I don't know.
Or you go in, it's dark, and it comes out, it's dark.
It's always
like,
dark when you work
no
underground.
Sunlight. Yeah.
No, 12-hour shifts. It's just dark all the time.
I got to go down underground once. My old man took me for a tour before he retired, and it was insane.
Yeah, I think I was there. I remember you being there. Yeah, just before he retired. Yeah.
It was something else, man. I give it to you.
Yeah, you get over it pretty quick. You go down 3 times and it's normal.
You're good.
Yep.
I'm sure we could do a whole podcast on mining.
Oh, fuck.
You guys should try to go underground and do a podcast there. There's got to be a mine to be willing to.
Right from a refuge station.
Yeah, from the refuge station. Let's go.
9600 refuge station. I could be.
Yeah, the deepest
it's got
place.
good benches.
Deepest podcast.
The deepest spot accessible to man underground.
We would have a world record.
Yes, you would.
Could we get that?
The deepest podcast.
And I think you could sign up through the city to do a tour. It'd be like the tour is going to be extended an hour, and we're doing a podcast in 96.
Hey, we should try to figure this out. We could be in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah.
Wow. How would you get that certified?
You need a Guinness Book of World Records guy to certify it.
We should do it.
You need a notary.
Hey, we only have like 5 people to listen already. So
this is where the idea came from.
Yeah, but this will like throw you guys on the national stage. Let's go.
You now have 21 followers.
All right. I'm writing this down. Look into
podcast underground. Goddamn.
No. Look into setting Guinness World Record.
Nice. That's a good thing to write down, I think.
See, if you write it down, it's a goal. It's a life goal now.
Exactly.
I could personally take you guys down there.
There you go.
Oh man,
Kevin could just do it like
bring beer?
Under the radar.
Nobody will know. Kevin will just be like, show up at this time. I'll bring you underground. Well, I mean, you can't tell them you're bringing beer.
We could steal one.
Well, we got blanks.
You can sneak it underground.
We got blanks. We'll just tell them it's water.
Yeah, exactly.
Cans of water, sure.
Find those old school Coke bottles, and I'll brew a stout.
Or just
I'll bottle it right in there, man.
Yeah. All right, ideas. Let's keep this.
We'll put shipwreck in some old school Coke bottles.
No one would know.
Nobody will know.
Sure.
I'll bring my capper. I got caps that fit right on there, man.
It'd be perfect.
We could do it.
Well, on that note,
I know what I'm bringing.
It's probably the best time for us to sign off. But thank you guys very much for having us here today.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for coming.
It was awesome. Thanks, guys.
Really had a good time. And we'll have to do it again sometime.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah,
I'm
definitely. Down. And Jason, do
you
have a sign off for us here today?
I do.
Yeah,
I forgot on the last one and on the live that we did not release. I'm pretty sure I did a Frank Zappa one before, so I'm going to skip that. And we're going to go with a Dave Barry quote. Not all chemicals are bad. Without chemicals such as hydrogen and oxygen, for example, there would be no way to make water, a vital ingredient in beer.
For sure. Yes. Well, thanks again, guys. And we'll see you guys or see our listeners the next time.
Yeah.
Cheers. I'll be wasted when you get here. Holy pasta when you get here.